Thank you. Good afternoon. Before we begin the public hearing, I will make the following announcement. Due to the current threat to public health from COVID-19, City Council committees are currently meeting remotely. We are using Microsoft Teams to make these remote hearings possible. Instructions for how the public may view and offer public testimony at public hearings of council committees are included in the public hearing notices that are published in the Daily News, Inquirer, and Legal Intelligencer prior to the hearings, and can also be found on phlcouncil.com. I now note that the hour has come, and Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll to take attendance? Members that are in attendance will please indicate that you are present when your name is called. Also, please say a few brief words when responding so that your image will be displayed on screen when you speak.
Councilmember Gautier, Councilmember Brooks,
Present.
Councilmember Johnson, Councilmember Jones, Councilmember Quinones Sanchez, Councilmember Thomas,
Good afternoon, I'm present.
and Madam Chair.
Okay, we need one more member to join us to make a quorum. So I'm going to pause for one moment while we get our quorum together. One moment, please. Thank you, Councilwoman Sanchez. We appreciate your presence. So I'm going to ask the clerk to please call the roll again.
Councilmember Gautier, Councilmember Brooks, Councilmember
Present.
Johnson, Councilmember Jones, Councilmember Quinones Sanchez, Councilmember Thomas.
Present.
Thank you. And Chair Bass.
Thank you. So we do have a quorum of committee members, and this hearing is now called to order. This is the public hearing of the Committee on Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs regarding Bill number 210743. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title of the bill?
Bill number 210743, an ordinance renaming and redesignating the property commonly referred to as the 11th and Venango Playground, located at 3600 North 11th Street, as the Williams Moore Reed Memorial Park in the city of Philadelphia.
Thank you. Before we begin to hear testimony from the witnesses we have for today, everyone who has been invited to the meeting to testify should be aware that this public hearing is being recorded. Because the hearing is public, participants and viewers have no reasonable expectation of privacy. By continuing to be in the meeting, you are consenting to being recorded. I also, additionally, prior to recognizing members for questions or comments that they have for the witnesses, I will note for the record at this time that we will use the chat feature available in Microsoft Teams to allow members to signify that they wish to be recognized. In order to comply with the Sunshine Act, the chat feature must only be used for that purpose. Before I call on the clerk to call the first panel, would any of my colleagues like to make any opening comments? And I do want to recognize the presence of Councilman Curtis Jones Jr. And seeing no comments or requests for comments from my colleagues, clerk, will you please have the first panel of witnesses to testify today on bill number 210743.
Panel 1 of witnesses, Mr. Chris Creelman and Cynthia Barnes.
Good afternoon to our panel. Are you connected and ready to proceed? It looks like you both are. Mr. Creelman, please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Bass and members of the Committee on Parks and Recreation. My name is Chris Creelman. I am the Director of Special Projects for the Department of Parks and Recreation. I am here today to testify in support of Bill number 210743, an ordinance renaming and designating the property commonly referred to as the 11th and Venango Playground as Williams Moore Reed Memorial Park in the city of Philadelphia. Tragic accident occurred near the vicinity of this playground, which resulted in the deaths of Keisha Williams and 3 of her children, Tiara Williams, Joseph Reed Jr., and Terrence Williams Moore. The children, along with their mother, were selling fruit at a stand to raise money for their local church so that a playground could be built when a carjacked vehicle struck them. A joint contribution was made by the families and their attorneys, Morris William Knapp Jaquette, PC, in memory of the decedents, so that Keisha Williams and her children's dream of a new playground for the neighborhood, be located at 11th and Venango Streets, could be realized. Phase 1 of the new playground was completed and was opened in the summer of 2021, and planning is underway now for Phase 2. The Williams, Moore, and Reed families are honored and grateful that the City of Philadelphia is memorializing their loved ones with the renaming of the playground at 11th and Venango Streets in a space that neighborhood children and adults will be able to enjoy for years to come. The Department of Parks and Recreation supports this measure, and accordingly, I respectfully request that City Council approve Bill number 210743. I'm also requesting a suspension of the rules so as to allow for first reading at the next session of Council. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Creelman. We're going to hold those questions to the end. Ms. Barnes, if you'd like to state your name for the record and proceed.
Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Barnes. I am the director of the Nicetown Tioga Improvement Team, and I'm here to testify in support of Bill number 210743. I am here, okay, I just said that, I'm sorry, regarding the renaming of 11th and Venango Street Playground to the William Moore Reed Memorial Park. The playground was a glass-strewn black tarred area that was repurposed in 2003. Thanks to Council President Clark, Deputy Commissioner of Recreation at that time, Carlton Williams, and the residents of this community. Later donations from Temple University, funding from State Representative Thomas, we put basketball courts up, were assembled, installed by dedicated and committed residents of this community. In 2017, the council president, who frequently rides through the neighborhood unannounced, saw that this playground desperately needed an overhaul. He was also trying to get the title turned over from the school district to Parks and Recreation, a process which took almost 20 years. So one warm day in March, Council President of the Water Department representative, along with a couple of lawyers, met out on the playground site and went over the vision for a new playground, which would include greenery and be capable of being a water runoff location. While everyone was discussing the possibility Bob Morris, one of the lawyers, told us a very sad story. He was there representing the surviving children of Keisha Williams, who, along with three of her children, 15-year-old Kiara Williams, 10-year-old Joseph Thomas Reed, and 7-year-old Terrence Moore, were tragically killed just blocks away from the playground by a carjacked SUV in 2014. The family was on the corner of Germantown and Allegheny selling fruit to build their playground when the tragedy happened. Attorney Morris asked if I thought the community would be opposed to renaming the playground in memory of this family. We, the members of the Nicetown Tioga Improvement Team, RCO, heartily agreed and are proud of being a catalyst to memorialize this family. And thanks for letting me testify. I would also add that I live directly across the street from the playground.
Thank you very much for your testimony. And we also want to thank the council president for having the foresight to work on this issue and to make sure that the folks involved in this tragedy, the victims of this tragedy, are never, ever, ever forgotten. It was a horrible, horrible incident here in the city of Philadelphia, and we want to keep that family's name alive. So thank you so much to the council president in his absence. Are there any questions for members of council for this panel? No? Okay, well, thank you very much for your attendance today. Madam Clerk, are there any additional witnesses or panelists to testify?
There are no other witnesses.
Okay, there being none, that concludes the hearing, and we're now going to go into our public meeting. And again, there being no further questions from members of the committee and no other witnesses to testify, I'm going to ask once again if there's anyone else present in this hearing whose name we have failed to call and that wishes to offer testimony on the bill being considered today. And hearing none, I want to thank all the panels and witnesses for their participation today. We value your opinions, and I now invite all panels and witnesses to please disconnect from the meeting before we go into our public meeting, which we will pause the proceedings briefly as multiple participants leave the hearing. So that will be the 2 participants leave the hearing. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That concludes the public hearing of the committee. We will now go into a public meeting to consider the action to be taken on the bills before this committee today. Clerk, will you please call the roll to take attendance? Members that are in attendance will please indicate that you are present when your name is called. Also, please say a few brief words when responding so that your image will be displayed on screen when you speak. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Gautier, Councilmember Brooks,
Present.
Councilmember Johnson, Councilmember Jones,
Present.
Councilmember Quinones Sanchez, Councilmember Thomas,
Present.
and Madam Chair Bass.
Present. And thank you. A quorum of committee members is still present. I would like to recognize Councilman Jones. Would you be willing to move the motion?
If I knew the number.
Okay. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones for a motion on bill number 210743.
I move that bill number 210743 be moved from this committee with a favorable recommendation, and further move that the rules of council be suspended to allow this bill's reading at our next session of council.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Very good. Thank you. Council recognizes Councilwoman Maria Quinones Sanchez and Councilman Brooks as seconding the motion. It has been moved and properly seconded that bill number 210743 be reported from this committee with the favorable recommendation, and further move that the rules of council be suspended to permit first reading of this bill at the next session of council. All of those in favor of this motion will signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Okay, the ayes have it and the motion carries. This concludes the business before the Committee on Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs, and I would like to thank you all very much for your attendance and participation today. Thanks,
Well
everyone.
done, Madam Chair. Well done.
Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate that. Y'all have a great day.